Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by WellnessForumHealth and the Wellness Forum Institute for Health Studies. So, a couple of announcements. First of all, for all of us who are rabid pet parents, I don't like to say owners because I think we're more like parents. And you guys know how I feel about Sir Winston. Anyway, one of our favorite vets, Dr. Carol Gifford, is presenting a workshop on May 4th on dog and cat vaccines. And she's going to talk about the various options and the risks and benefits of each, and vaccine mandates, and multiple pet households, and alternative schedules, and titer testing for antibodies, and all kinds of situations that you will encounter as a pet parent interacting with the veterinary system and public health. All right. That's May 4th. And then April 26th and 27th, the upcoming Food Over Medicine retreat. Like the last boot camp that we did, I'm morphing the curriculum to be including some things that you want to talk about. So I've added, for example, Lyme disease, shingles, vaccines, digestion, bone health, and the soy controversy. And I'll probably add a few more topics in addition to the ones that are on the outline already. Now, one of the things that I did last week, I added something. I added a pre-bootcamp questionnaire that you're all going to fill out and send to me, so that this will give me, again, ways to morph the material to make sure I'm talking about what's important to you. And I added a special bonus implementation take action session on Sunday at no additional charge. So the Friday and Saturday is the boot camp, and then Sunday night, we're going to have this special session where we're going to learn how to apply what you learn and have a plan by the time we all finish the Zoom session that Sunday night. So always good to give you more than what you thought you were getting, right? And that's what we do at Wellness Forum. And then one last thing. I'm speaking at the Real Truth About Health conference on Friday night. I'm in a panel discussion, Saturday afternoon, a lecture, and Sunday night, this coming weekend, a panel discussion. You can go online and see the entire schedule. It goes on for like 17 days, but I'm involved with that conference this weekend. So let's get into some health news. As most of you know by now, we've opened a clinic at our center in Central Ohio, and our plan to do it is to do it everywhere eventually. And the reason is that I really believe the only hope for good medical care is to establish an independent system. So I talk about this a lot. And in response to my talking about this, some people have written insisting that part of the solution needs to be single payer, as in the government. I think the intent when the Affordable Care Act was passed, like 14 years ago, it was to start the process that would result in socialized single payer medicine. But it doesn't work. I reported a few weeks ago that the Canadian system is falling apart. It's almost impossible to get an appointment within a reasonable period of time. And Canadian Wellness Forum members report that while there are exceptions, a significant percentage of practitioners don't even pretend to care. One person told me recently that a doctor asked her which drugs she wanted, and he'd just be happy to prescribe those. Nothing like taking care of yourself and paying somebody else to do it, right? So here's some, and by the way, the Canadian government, which has always assumed that socialized medicine would be, and the public, which have always assumed that socialized medicine was permanent and a fixture in Canada, the government is saying that doctors can set up their own practices and encouraging consumers to go there because there's pretty much acknowledgement all around that things are just not good for healthcare in Canada. Well, I'll report on another single payer system that's falling apart, the National Health Service in the UK. And this has been trending this way for a long time, but it appears that there's just an overall implosion. According to the BBC, waiting times for cancer patients were the worst they've ever been in 2023. And it's been getting worse for the last 11 years, and almost 100,000 cancer patients waited longer than they should have to receive care just in 2023, last year alone. According to the Telegraph, there are 9.7 million people in the UK waiting for an appointment, and close to 1.35 million have been waiting for over a year. The Office of National Statistics reports that the number could be 2 million people more than previously thought. Wait times for ambulances have increased to what I think are pretty scary levels. So Category 1 incidents deal with life-threatening conditions. Category 2 includes suspected heart attack, stroke, and even severe chest pain. For Category 2 calls, the average wait time is 45 minutes and 57 seconds. The government reports that the goal is 18 minutes. They are way far away from that. If you look at the data for children under 18, it's horrific. 423,500 kids are on the wait list for pediatric care, which has gone up by 52% just in the last 3 years. In 2022, 1/3 of UK adults missed work due to an inability to get health care, and 2.5 million are unable to work because they're sick. So anybody who thinks a single payer system that's controlled by the government is the solution to the healthcare problem in our country, I think is terribly mistaken. That's just my opinion. The American healthcare system is crumbling, and the mess in which the NHS is in the UK and the Canadian system, these are not viable alternatives. We just have to do something entirely different. That's what we're doing. And if you're a healthcare professional who's ready to say, I need to be on my own, I need to be doing something that has a future, and you want to talk about it, I have a prospectus that I can send you about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I'm happy to chat with you by phone as well. So for the consumer, the goal is to limit the amount of interaction that you have with the healthcare system. I think it's the best option for most of us now. It's certainly my goal. The most important thing you can do is take care of yourself. And an important part of that is physical activity, which people are very reluctant to do. A good physical activity plan should include aerobic activities, strength training, and stretching, which can include yoga. In fact, most people, and research shows this, people will do more stretching in a structured yoga class than they will on their own. Just one important benefit of yoga. Now, clear disclosure, I own a yoga studio. Probably it's impossible for me to be objective about yoga because I know what it's done for me, and I know what it's done for so many of the people who come to our yoga studio. But the research on stretching and specifically yoga is pretty clear in terms of benefits, and there's a lot of it. So let's start with the definition of stretching for purposes of health improvement. It's not just, a couple minutes before you go out for a run or something. It is getting into and holding a position that challenges a muscle and which over time will improve range of motion. Doing this right involves discomfort in the beginning for most people, and avoiding discomfort is one of the biggest reasons why people are unhealthy in our country. And there's discomfort either way. You can be uncomfortable because you're sick, or you can be uncomfortable because you're engaged in activity that you're not used to doing. And I think that the latter is better than the former, but you have to make up your own mind about that. Now, some studies about the benefits of stretching. One is that stretching builds strength. How it works, stretching muscles, when stretching, muscles are lengthened, and with strength training, muscles are contracted. And both result in applying tension to muscles and connective tissue, which over time causes muscles to get bigger and stronger. And so you become more stable and stronger. Now, ideally, what you want to do is both. You want to do some strength training, and you also want to do some stretching, but you have to do enough of both of those to counter one another. Stretching in the form of yoga reduces chronic low back pain. One study showed that within 8 classes over a 4-week period, pain was relieved. That's an outcome we see regularly in our studio and one that I experienced myself. Here's another benefit. It's been shown to reduce arterial stiffness, improve vascular endothelial function, and decrease heart rate and blood pressure. Lots of studies on the benefits of yoga for relieving high blood pressure and other cardiovascular risk factors. Stretching reduces injuries by improving balance. Ideally, and for best outcomes, and by best outcomes, I mean you live on your own, in your own home for the rest of your life, and you have a great life until you just one day go to bed and die. That's my plan. That's what I think you want to probably do too if you're watching this video. Here's what my prescription is for a physical activity that includes stretching. I think that you should do 2 tough and challenging strength training workouts each week. For me, I need babysitting. I have a trainer, and I tell this guy every week, I wouldn't do most of this if you weren't here making me, and I'm too easy on myself in the gym by myself. So I have a trainer. I do 2 tough and challenging strength training workouts each week. I do a couple of aerobic workouts, sometimes more, and at least 1 yoga class. Usually I do more than that, but this is basic, what you should aspire to do. And if you do it, it will improve your health and your longevity and your ability to live with a high quality of life on your own for the rest of your life. Keep this in mind. Staying healthy requires work and some discomfort, at least until you get to the place where your habits are so ingrained that it is almost impossible to fathom that you would not do the right thing. And I'll use myself as an example. I had a lot of trouble with this in the beginning. I was not very disciplined about working out and eating well, and I would cheat a lot on vegan junk food. And I had trouble, like a lot of people do. But now, after all of these years of good habits and practice in the whole 9 yards, I cannot conceive of any situation in which I would eat a steak or a cheese pizza or skip a workout or not take a yoga class because I was just too busy to do it or I just didn't feel like it. Maybe if you held a gun to my head, but short of that, I can't think of anything that would make me veer from this routine that has caused me to be so healthy and so energetic and have such a great life to look forward to, even though I'm 67 years old. And what's happened is the repetition of these habits has built pathways in my brain, and these are deep and ingrained. And so it's real easy for me to do the right thing every day. It's hard until it's not. Just keep that in mind, right? FYI, on the topic of yoga, people have been asking, when am I going to teach another virtual yoga series? I'm going to. So if you're interested, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. We'll probably do some weekend sessions to make it easy for everybody. And with this, I'll just conclude. Remember, dog and cat vaccines, May 4th. FOM retreat, Food Over Medicine retreat, with the extra bonus session added on April 26th and 27th with the bonus session on the 28th. So if you want to get yourself to the place where you're like me, where it's just easy, it's easy to do the right thing. I don't have to think about it much. It's just automatic pilot. So I don't spend a lot of time fussing about it every day. And I think that is when it really becomes fun. First of all, I really like the physical activity and all the other things that I do. It can be fun, it can be stress-free, and you can live a stress-free, high-quality life. All right, that's all for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I will be back to you on Thursday with more news.